Hello guys, welcome to the Trading Parrot. We're going to do a live stream. Bitcoin has just done another move down in the ladder. We are at number 3 in terms of liquidations. And in today's video, I'm going to do an assessment on whether 67 could be on the table. I know that it's not what everybody wants to hear, particularly if you are over leveraged or if you haven't reserved enough for averaging down at scale with this pace that we are moving these days. Luckily, I am still really fine. Up until 80K, I was still break even thanks to the hedge from the short. That was at an average of 122. But it's been brutal out there. And I think I want to cover two things that are very important that I think probably apply as a question mark to a lot of people. Number one, how low? And number two, more importantly, how high can we bounce if we get a dead cat bounce? And we're going to look into past performance. We're going to look into what we did in 2021. Of course, in the beginning of the video, I'll do a little bit of housekeeping, looking into 4-hour daily, how things are looking in terms of speed. Are we slowing down? You know, we've seen the 4-hour faking out constantly in the past 2 weeks. I made you aware about that. I show you signs of reversal, but I always make sure to make you aware that the 4-hour has done those signs of reversals constantly, and each and every one of them have faken out. And it hasn't been the exception last night when we accelerate. And to be honest, it hasn't got to do anything with the 4-hour setup being broken or anything. You know, you cannot blame technicals in these circumstances. This is to do a lot with NVIDIA. Yeah, general markets puking. And we will cover a little bit of that here and there, jumping in and out to understand what is the full context. But if you are in the live stream, make sure that you're writing down comments in the live chat. Keep it busy, okay? Ask questions and all of that. That really helps getting this live stream to more than 80 people. Incredible. In the tops of 73.5, we were doing a live stream with over 2,000 people. Now we are 80, so it's getting pretty cozy in here. Get relaxed, get a coffee. I already have a coffee. That's why I'm so... but maybe later I should get a beer and slow down the pace and get you more relaxed, okay? Let me drop the pitch so you get the weekend vibes and you start relaxing, because there's a lot of people very nervous out there. Right, let's do the housekeeping. Let's do everything in time. Remember, if you're looking for an exchange, I'm not sure if you're looking for an exchange at this point. You're probably looking for getting out of that exchange. But if you're still looking for an exchange, Dubit is a great alternative. In 2 minutes, you can sign up. You get $50 to start trading. And they have a new reset and rebound, $200,000 to reclaim your gains. So that particular... campaign is on the top of the description in this video, and you can sign up, or if you already have an account on Tubit, you can get part of those 200K to maybe compensate for, you know, losses, or if you need more margin or whatever. Let's have a look at the housekeeping, starting with the aggregated open interest. And I don't have good news today, guys. I don't have, I'm afraid. It's been roughly from end of October up until now that Bitcoin broke down, retest, and continued to the downside into 81. And the aggregated open interest just print the first candle below the head and shoulder. I don't like the looks of this. I'm not sure if we are gonna really be able to do a valid forecast based on this, but if the aggregated open interest goes into $17 billion, which is the technical target of the, you know, the chart that we are looking in front of our eyes, that is roughly between 60 and 67K. Help me. I mean, write down in the comments and give me some emotional support, because that number is not a number that you just spit out of your mouth without getting a little bit 67K. I hope you are doing great at home, just like I'm doing in here. So 4 hour, we got that rejection on 47. That was at the top of the channel, but the channel on the lower end didn't hold at 85. Okay, so that's not great. The momentum didn't either. So we might have on top of the table that 16 4-hour RSI. That is currently, today is located at 77.755. Okay, it's a moving target. In the next few hours, it can move up or down. If price sharply drops down, it might encounter the line in the middle at 80. You know, if it happens, let's say on Saturday. Today is Friday, so we need to look into CME as well. But if it starts going sideways, maybe we'll slow down and meet with it a little bit lower. In terms of CME, well, we are trading now at 83. We just bounced from 81.5. Obviously, the highest we can go, the higher we can go, the better for any sort of insurance that we are expecting from CME. Building a gap on top of the price is what I refer as an insurance. If we go very low on Friday, we had a new moon today, which is not necessarily helping. If you believe in such a thing, let me know in the comments if you are into that. But I've seen Bitcoin respecting the moon phases quite oftenly. I don't know how. I don't know if there's any science behind that or if it's just mystic. But, you know, new moon is not a great thing. We just have the previous full moon didn't help at all. So you could argue that as well, that maybe things flip and the new moon now starts pushing up. I don't know. But the falling wedge, there's no expectations from me now to have a bullish reclaim and then a bullish breakout from 98 into the top of the wedge, because it's already too destroyed. So let's stop talking about that setup. It's no longer on the table. Upside might be, but not under the terms of reclaiming the falling wedge and going up, because we are so far. We are at 81 now. And we are on the daily below the global support, which is this red line in there. We got that trading at 20 RSI, which is very low, 20. And ideally, we want to reclaim that. Okay, so that is kind of a very rare golden setup. You come back in here and you reclaim. Look at this. It went to 19, pinch back into 52. And that bullish reaction, that bullish sort of reclaim of a global support, more often than not, tends to be a local bottom strong for another wave up. To the top of the range, I don't feel like we can do that at this stage, but be my guest. If Bitcoin wants to do that, I'm more than ready with my long to go into a number 5. A fifth wave in here of momentum. If we can do that, we can get into 84 RSI, you know, just to give you a little bit of hopium, massive hopium. Because if we do a journey from 20 to 84 RSI daily, that puts the price of Bitcoin almost at 200K. So that definitely sounds like hopium to me. Let me know if you think that is doable. I think the day that we don't have any more people saying that we are bullish is probably gonna be the day that we reverse. And I'm guessing that everybody's bearish. Jose, can you do a poll in the chat and ask people if they're bullish or bearish for, you know, let's say January or December? Short term, are you short term bullish or bearish? And we're gonna put a poll in here. I think there is a way to put polls, but I don't remember. Maybe with the goal. There must be a button in here. With the plus. Yeah, you can start a poll there. There you go. We can do a poll and you guys tell me if you're bullish or bearish. If we get 100% bearishness, everybody thinks that we're going to 67, then I guess, you know, we might have a decent bounce. In the CPR, we got that 74 that is roughly around the level of the previous low. If we take that low, there should be some decent liquidity in there. If you know the setup of QFL, Quick Fingers Look, that is the setup of Quick Fingers Look. It's always to find the previous low, find a base there, and then take that level there, do some deviation below to take that liquidity, and then come back above it. That is the QFL setup. Of course, this is on a daily setup. QFL is typically on the 4-hour, but it can be done on any time frame, really. Anyways, let's start with forecasting. Let's start talking about the 67, and let's start talking about how high, okay? And for the first model that we're going to look today, very interesting one in here, is going to be, let me leave the chat in here. The first model is going to be, what is it called? I'm going to copy this in here, the spectrum. I forgot the word. Fractal. There you go. The fractal of the top of 2021 into the bottom of the bear market. So I already have that there, and I'm going to align it with the top, and we are going to have two speculative ideas. Of course, let me show you that I'm actually aligning it with the top. So that is my top from the previous cycle. This is the 126, and we're going to have to stretch it somehow so that we get a bounce. Okay, so for example, if I stretch it against this local low, then past performance says that we bounce into roughly 98.4K. That is not enough for me. You know that. My average now is 101. So that is not enough, but could be a small loss if we get there. Of course, these are candle closes though, so it might reach a little bit higher. It depends, because this fractal is not tracking the wicks of the price. So it could have gone into 100, maybe. Then the second speculative move is if we align this like this. For that, we need to assume that we are already deep in the bear market. If you've been watching my channel and last week, you know that I'm already thinking that we are well deep in the bear market, that we are going so fast paced in terms of momentum that the patterns are aligning with past half the bear market, past half, almost getting into 2/3 of bear market. And it sounds ridiculous when you look at the price, because if you look at the price like this moving here is not 2/3 of everything, right? We are still around the top, 82 relative to 15K. There's a lot of room to go down. But the momentum says the opposite. The momentum says we have already gone into 33 and we started from 26. So well, there's 6 points of RSI and we are done. So if you are waiting for this to come into 15, it might not get there. I don't know. So aligning the second local low, I already did that one. That takes us into 98.5. If we align the second low, this one in here, that one that moved the price from 33 into 48, right? That one from today, if that is the low, moves the price into 99.3. So whichever move down that you use in this cycle, if you squash it to the less volatility that we're having nowadays, because I'm aligning it with the moves that we have today, it doesn't reach above 100K. Okay, I'm gonna leave that hanging there. It's not a forecast, it's just past performance, but past performance is useful, to have an idea on expectations and to adjust them, because some people are saying, yeah, our dead cat bounced definitely into 180K. Okay, past performance didn't do it, so that's something already. As I say, RSI is already at 33, 34, and we started from the bottom of 25. So I want to see that from this chart, because this chart is magnificent. I love it. I love the similarities of the two cycles being in a falling wedge from the beginning of the bear market, momentum bear market, right? Let's call it like that, because this up until here, price is still in a bull, but momentum starts declining from around April, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. When you are at 4, look at this. 4 is the fourth time that you hit that resistance in the falling wedge. You are in FTX collapse from 20 to 15K. And we are now below that support. We are at 25. This one is at 33. So the whole thing is a little bit shift up. There is less volatility than you have in here. And we should be expecting, if past performance is something around this area, it's been something. There's a lot of rhyming between the two cycles. But if this reclaims 37 and it goes into 4, you can get a decent move up that I believe yesterday we calculated and it was around 118K. I don't know if we're going to get there. Neither 3 got that high, so we could get a little bit below, maybe 110. That will be good for me. That's my hopium. The previous model doesn't give me much hopium, but this one does. And the second one, the third one is this fall in heel, with this fall from here in Fibonacci retracements. So what am I doing? From this low to high, and then, sorry, am I doing it wrong? Really? Am I doing it wrong? I'm so stupid. Oh no, I did it right. I did it wrong. So that should have been here. This should have been there. Maybe I save it. I changed it, but it didn't save. Anyways, you tell me if I did it wrong in the previous video. It should be from there to the all-time high, all this move. No, I'm going to do it with this. I trust this wave to be that wave there because we have 2 waves here, 1 and 2. So there's 1 and 2. That's my preference. I'm going to do it from here into all-time high. And then this one bounce from 33, reaches 48K with the 0382. And if this bounces from where we are, that puts the price at 102. Okay. That is 2 models saying there is a bounce that could put us back above 100K. So in this video, we're going to talk about that 67 that is in the title is coming. Wait for that. And now we are talking about bounces. Bounces from different models. How high can it bounce? And why do we care about bounces? Because I'm assuming that there must be a lot of people. There's probably 189 people watching the video, and I'm sure that 180 are looking for an exit for a long. And I wouldn't be surprised. Let me know if you are part of them or not. Or maybe you are just in a short and you're, doing really well. In terms of SOPR, we are in area of mild capitulation. We still don't have a pinch big like in August 2024 or in April. So that is not great. That could bring, that's a sign that we could bring the 67. The top bottom is getting to the next level, which is 77. At that point, the full model is broken, triple broken, right? So 1, 2, 3, and then we can potentially ditch the model. And we still don't get another LS2. Sometimes you get 2 in a row. So you get the first one and a second one that you used to average down, but we still don't get it. This huge candle in red there engulfing 2 ranges definitely doesn't look great. And here is where we're going to make a stop. We're going to look at that 67 question in the thumbnail. I find it really fascinating. And it's all to do with understanding where we are. There's so many caveats. There's so many ways of seeing this and trying to understand where could be the bounce. Where could it be coming? And what is completely unrealistic based on where we are in this type of cycle. And let's look at this. We got 3 cycles that had momentum reaching a top. This cycle didn't. We never went to 77. We did a maximum of 71. So we missed by 6 points. Take note of that. 6 points that we didn't do. We left that on the table. We never had euphoria or momentum over 70 sustained for more than 1 month. Each month in here was just a single month over 70. There's never 2 months over 70, which is absolutely a disaster as a cycle. But that might tell us something about, the downside as well, right? And what can we take away from here? So my take away from here is from top to the first decent bounce. That is 40. From top, I will say from here, 34. Then there is this one that reached 26 points of RSI down from top to bottom. So this is all we got, right? But if I expect a 26 down, we get into 45, okay? Careful there. Careful with the pattern, because we need to understand what has been happening in here. And I'm going to make the patterns huge so you can see them. If you're blind to patterns, that's okay, okay? There's many people blind to patterns. Most of the influencers out there with channels are absolutely blind to patterns. They cannot see them. They just talk bullshit. So we got those patterns, right? What do you see? Well, this coming down, that's coming down. This was not there, right? And this should align with this, subject to repeating that one there. So if this is not there, can we take for granted that level of 45? I would say no. Could it be that it goes below this? I don't know. That is a big question mark. I don't know. If we didn't get extreme greed, can we get a massively bigger fear? That's a great question. I don't know how to answer that. Let me know if you think that could be the case. But considering from this top, if we move down in a straight line like this, that 26, which is the one that we have closest at hand, so far we have done 18. So if we do a 26 down, that puts us straight in one leg into the destination final of a bear market. So can we do such a huge leg like this down in here and immediately end in the bottom of the bear market, and from there we start from scratch? Can we do that? I think it's low likely. I think in between here, in between 54 and getting into 43, 42, we have to have something like even this, right? Or that. Well, ideally a revenge rally into that resistance, but I'm kind of giving up with the idea of a revenge rally. That revenge rally into 70 is just beautiful, but I'm not sure if you're gonna get a revenge rally into 70 now. That will put the price at the moment is running away from the price at 152. So I left you here this, which is RSIs of 46, 45. Let's put up until 42, just to get a big range. And you got 70 to 58. Well, I went too far on 42, right? So 42 is around here. So another pattern. So every next bottom is slightly a tiny bit lower than the previous one. This stops at 47, the next at 47.19, this stops at 44. So if we get into 42, 43, that's a 58. And if we really want this leg to be a single leg there, which is low likely, as I said, I think it's low likely that we reach the final destination of the bear market without any swing up. That is something that rarely happens on a weekly basis, unless the general market goes into a recession and it crashes like COVID-like crash, or like a 1930s crash. Then you can go wherever. You can go minus 70 RSI. But I think from around here, I'm expecting a bounce. And I'm being very careful because this move in here, from top to there, if it reaches 44, that is, sorry, where is the reverse RSI? Let's put the 44, because that was an important level. That is around the 65, the 67 level. And I think that's why we need to be careful with this leg in here, because it could still extend a little bit more. So far, it has done just a move of 18. And we know that the volatility is constraining from 26, but constraining to from 26 into 18 is a bit too little. So I will expect a bit more is on the table, not guaranteed. It's not that we must do that, but the range of this, to give it some room to breathe, is up until RSI of 44, 45. And at the moment we are at 54. Yeah. So that is the fear I have. Next model is the 76 in here. The 67, if you want to visualize it, is around this resistance there. And it was the support of this massive green candle as well. So a lot of people enter there on breakout. The breakout occurs on this candle. They say, okay, we got a breakout. Okay, let's go all in. And as a result, you get this massive candle. So this candle could chase that 67. So that's one narrative to consider. All right, so let me look a bit at how things are going out there in other aspects as well. So we have here an acceleration in terms of the outflows. We are at 14, interestingly, on extreme fear. Yesterday was 11. I will expect this to be like a 9 or a 6 by now. The warning buy is still there. We still don't get a buy signal. And short-term liquidity has a bunch of levels in here. The 81 hasn't been fully consumed, and then we go into 76. Number 3 is fully gone, I will say. There's like a 1% left over at 80.8. Then number 4 has the first yellow there. That is precisely at 74, and I'm very tempted to focus all my attention on that order. But number 5 has an epicenter at 67. And that gives the title to this video, because we need to assess based on multiple models if it's doable. We got 2 big liquidations. This one was 2 billion. This was around 2 billion as well. And now the 10th of October is out of the range in here of the time. So that's why it's looking like big liquidations. But if you compare it with 10th of October, these are like 10% of that. And it's over 2 billion by now. And let's look at where people are placing support, which is at 75K, 76K. So very low. So at 82, that means 7K below is where they're placing their support. And that can be interpreted as something bearish, but many times it happens that they place all these orders in here, and then suddenly someone uses a market order and they just buy and they leave all that liquidity there. And that's how you end up looking at the charts full of lines that never get filled. And they show you a sentiment that they want to buy the dip, but they want to buy very cheap. And suddenly someone fronts run them, and then it starts revenge to the upside. CBD is the most pronounced that it's been so far. We got some levels in there with certain slope, but the slope in here is almost vertical. So literally panic sellers all over the place. I'm surprised that the SOPR is still not pinching massively. It should be a bit more, how can I say, different. Anyways, so longs are being decimated in here. Shorts are adding into that. So we need to look into the delta. The delta, I think this morning was around 800, 900K. So it's getting to the levels that it becomes more juicy for a bounce up. And let's focus on the open interest. I usually have this line like this. So we only see the 110, which is still the largest level of open interest. So, and people enter in shorts here massively, and they manage to get away with the full move down. And if we do this, we're going to see where else people added significantly into shorts. So on this fall, on that fall there, that is the head and shoulder that people enter with 300 million. Then with the retest, 300 million more. And then we got the 91. So why do we care about those? Because if we do any relief, we need to assess how attractive is this. So 350 million or 700 million in here, or around 2 billion at the top, but pretty far. So it's a trade-off between the liquidity that is in each of the pools versus the distance, because it takes energy to get there. So, I mean, be my guest. We got a case for getting into 111 and get me back in profit, or we have a double case in here for get me in a break even. But we do also have a case for just going into 92, taking that, and the selling pressure being so big that it only reaches 92, takes that liquidity, gets a new wave of shorts, and it pushes back below 80. We don't know. Impossible to tell. But it's good to be informed where are the breaking points and where is the liquidity spread across. And the order book has shown massive ratios over the past 24 hours. I've seen it also from other influencers looking into High Block Capital that currently is running a sell. By the way, yesterday I posted on Twitter a Patreon article public with all the different deals, and High Block Capital is giving a massive deal, 70% discount, 80% on TradingView, and along with other exchanges and things. Have a look at that article. If Jose could post it in the chat, that will be fantastic, and then everybody can see it in the live chat. All right. So longs are at 75. They are defending these levels. Yeah, there is defense, but there is a lot of market orders from panic sellers. So although the longs are there, they are entering in positions. You got the limit orders, but the panic sellers are just dumping. And that's the case usually for a situation like this. I want to look into ratios now very quickly, and then I'm going to look into general markets. I don't know. I think we still have time. I think we still have like half an hour. Yeah, look at this. And in Bitcoin, this is against gold on the weekly, and that bottom in the bear market at 26. Right now we are at 29. So against gold, where are we going to go with Bitcoin in here? Like, are we going to go to 10? I mean, we've never been that low. The lowest it's been is in 2022. But if there's still plenty of room for a bear market, that's my question. If we are starting a bear market and we still have 1 year of going down, where are you going to place the weekly RSI for gold? At minus 10? Just to give you an idea, we are in November, and in November, let's say in 2021, October, we were at 67 RSI, not at 20 something. And then we have all this period to go down into June, where momentum bottom at 27, but we are already at 29. So that's what I mean about the how deep can it go from here. And on gold, on the monthly, we are now at 41, and we started from 40. We started 1 point away from where we are on the monthly against gold. And the trend, if you want, the bottom of trends in here says that we should stop at 37. So we have 4 points down to find a bottom against gold. Well, if the model survives, of course, any model can break, and this model already broke from the top. So the $1 million question is, if we didn't get greed, neither against gold, are we going to get extreme fear? Are we going to get something like this and Bitcoin goes to hell? Or is it just going to be squash and institutional-like looking kind of trading in here, and the bear market is just mild? It just goes into 60K and then it resumes back to the top. I don't know. That's $1 million question, which I definitely don't feel prepared yet to say. I strongly believe that's going to be the case. Against VIX, we are again bottom, rock bottom. Look, this is June 2022. We are at 36. I mean, be my guest, break that thing, Bitcoin, and go to uncharted territory in terms of momentum against all the other assets. In here, against the Nasdaq. The rock bottom against Nasdaq was 27. We are at 29. You got 2 points to go lower here, and then you reach, I don't know, somewhere around here, which more or less coincides with the area of 67. So the bottom of this is 48, the top of this is 73, in the middle is like 67. And that's also the case in other ratios, like against the dollar. Look at this, how it looks against the dollar. It also broke the bull market support, and is below that. So it's more or less like being around here. It went into 25 and now we are at 33. So there's still 8 there to go down. But against any asset, Bitcoin is at the moment in a situation that looks like getting closer to a bottom of a bear market. Not there yet, okay? I'm not saying tomorrow we finish and we start a new bull cycle, but it could be a shallower bull cycle. So with the rest of the video, I'm tempted to go and do some TA on either Ethereum or Solana. So I'm gonna ask you guys to comment in the chat live, and we're gonna get some votes there. If we could do, Jose, another one, can we do another poll? Oh, we got 50% bullish. Wow, that's crazy. 50-50, 126 votes. Let's end this poll. Let's say that is the case, and let's create a new poll. Jose, I'm not sure if you're there, and one that says TA of Solana versus Ethereum, and then we get you guys to vote. I'm gonna just wait a few seconds. In the meantime, I'm gonna load Ethereum because something tells me that you guys are gonna want Ethereum. I've seen plenty of people asking for Ethereum. Let's go to the coin in here. Right. Let's refresh this. If Solana wins, then I'm gonna have to change everything. I think Jose is not listening, so I'm gonna do it myself. Solana, Ethereum, TA, poll, start poll. All right, guys, look at the poll. It's on your screen. I'm not sure if it appears on mobile, but try to vote there and tell me what you want me to vote. Ethereum is winning. And be quick, because I'm just gonna count until 10. Let's see. Okay, we got Ethereum so far winning 66%. Let's go for Ethereum. That's fair enough. Thanks to all of you guys that like Solana, but you know, we need to do serious coins. We cannot do meme coins in here. So Ethereum, 3 months, we got some liquidity at 4,780. That is thanks to all the people that enter short around there. Now from the past 30 days, we got some levels of liquidity at 3.2. That's the biggest. 3.2. This is 3,280. Everything looks very shallow after that. There's been a sharp decrease. On the daily time frame, we are breaking global, just like Bitcoin. So be aware of that. That could become another potential golden setup for a bounce. I'm not saying golden setup for another all-time high necessarily, but it could be for a bounce. In terms of short-term liquidity, Ethereum has this level in here of 2,000, which I talk about. We just complete everything that is large liquidity before we have to go into 2,000. There's still, 2.558, but it's way smaller than what we have already taken. So if Nvidia and general markets starts pushing higher today and we get a miracle, and the VIX slowdowns and the fears and all of that, possibly we could see a decent bounce from Ethereum because it has run out of motivation to liquidate large pools, and if general markets continue bleeding, it's gonna make it just too easy to get into 2K because that is large, followed by 1800s. Let's go into the weekly, which is not looking great at all. Really, really bad, because we had this breakout. We went into a revenge rally. We call it a revenge rally. I distribute all my Ethereum. Unfortunately, I bought a little bit. I don't remember at what price was it. At 3.8. Yeah, I bought at 3.8, but it was like probably at 2% of what I was holding, and I'm planning to buy more if we get into that 2000, and I'm gonna average down, massive average down drop, and I'm probably gonna double down at 2000 to get my exit slightly below 3K, and then we'll see. That's kind of my plan with Ethereum. But it's definitely not looking good. Ethereum can do things like this. This is a straight line from 4,000 into 1,400. This one starts from 5K. So this was a drop of 65%. Like a 65% from here will be roughly around the 1,800. Okay. So if it repeats this sort of performance, definitely can do it. So if you're thinking that that's mental to think that, think twice. 45%, that sort of volatility, it has already been reached. So we already did this drop from the top in here. We have already reached that one. So if we continue, we can get into the territory of the almost 70% drawdowns. Retail orders are big on futures still at the moment. According to CryptoQuant, big whales are buying Ethereum, apparently, as well, on spot, but futures are affecting retail, which puts into the fire of liquidating them. The bubble is cool, and taker buy is dominant on Ethereum. Oh, wow. That means that the CBD is positive in here and is negative on Bitcoin. I'm not so sure about that. Should we go and check? Let me see. I'm too curious. I want to see in here, changing this to Ethereum on Binance Perpetual. No, the CBD is down. Yeah, as I thought. It cannot be really that people are panic buying at this point. I think CryptoQuant is just drunk. All right, let's go back into here. Let's see. The futures average order size is in the red. So those are retail orders that are entering in here. It happened also there, and it happened all the bear market. But you have two waves in the beginning of the bear market, and then they got liquidated, and then suddenly there was no one because they were being liquidated, and then they restarted from here with retail orders. This one got lucky, retail managed to take profit. This one we will have to see if it belongs like these bubbles or those bubbles after. And we could do Ethereum against Bitcoin, which is still in the territory of retesting this. So it hasn't broken down the support in here. The breakout is still healthy against Bitcoin, not against USDT. Everything is bleeding against USDT because all the markets are crashing, all coins are coming down. And that makes it, Ethereum won, so good. Everything is bleeding, but since both assets are falling, Ethereum is kind of holding that area there and not breaking back below that line. So that shows that Ethereum could do something against Bitcoin. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, if we go, for example, at this area in the price, let me see a monthly. So all this area in here, Bitcoin managed to do a dead cat bounce. During that dead cat bounce, Ethereum did pretty well, and many altcoins did pretty well. So that fact that Ethereum is holding that breakout and is coming for the retest could state that we might be due for some relief on Ethereum. And I think it's worth adding it in here, Ethereum just because my memory now is a bit flaky and I don't remember. Let's put it in, yeah, this one. And let's get candles because the closing price sometimes is too dramatic and I want to see how high it went. So in this area in here, Ethereum went up 67%. So that is 1.4K that it went up from the lows after 2 months coming down. And then it had that massive move because it exaggerates everything that Bitcoin does. So from here, assuming that we stop there, right? So if we stop at 2.6, at 67% is a move into over 4K. If we go for the 2K and we move 67%, that is a move into 3.5. Okay? So that is my... That is why I'm thinking that the 2K, the 1.8 is a decent area for an average down of Ethereum. Even if my small, tiny macroscopic position at 3.8 now is looking silly, but if I double down at 1.8 and we get a bounce within those kind of magnitudes, then I can get out before a C wave, Right. That concludes Ethereum, and I think I'm gonna cut it now. Guys, thanks so much. I really need to, do some Friday stuff. I need to hit the pub and relax a little bit about the price. It's been an intense week. I hope you guys also chill a bit. I hope the video is helping you to chill. Not the title though, but it doesn't help me to chill either. But I wanted to talk about that 67K. I wanted to talk about that 100K. Take that away with you. What is realistic at the moment? What is low-hanging fruit exit? That should be the focus at the moment. What is realistic and what is hopium? Because many people out there are going to tell you, yeah, exit at 120, that's for granted. We're going to go there, or we're going to go to 150. And then you're going to be left hanging. There are some dead cat bounces into bull market support band, into 50 weekly. Keep all those numbers in mind. And I'll see you on the next video. All right? Take care and have a great weekend. Remember, hit the like, subscribe, write down a comment, and see you hopefully tomorrow. I might be able to do some levels